And
Good job.
my wife and I have been away. We've been dealing with a lot of things. We've been to the Billy Graham Evangelical Center. We went to the Ark Encounter. I don't know if anybody knows about that being down. But, I'm beginning to find out, this stuff, if you go off of what your opinion is, well, people's opinions change. This country was founded, by people that believe the Bible and God. So this stuff takes it all out of my opinion. This is stuff that has been said, and it is real. And what I wanted to get to is in Romans 1, you start reading how people that, because when they knew God, they glorified Him not, neither were thankful, but became vain in their own imaginations, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man. And you go down through it, and it talks about how we were given up to vile affections. We took for granted the things that men did with women, and men doing with men that works unseemly. And eventually God turns us over to a reprobate mind. And it's important that we bring that stuff up so we can advance to the next slide, please. As I said, I'm not going to go through and read all of this. You can go home, look it up on your own if you want, but it talks about the spirit in the last day. It talks about some departing from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of demons, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. Things we do now, we don't even think about it anymore. Next slide, please. In Corinthians, I put this one up because it looks at things from two perspectives. You have to look at things the way God intended them to be, or you look at them at man's way. They don't understand this stuff because it's all foolishness to them, and they can't discern what it is we understand. Next slide, please. And I put in Mark 9 because I look at this one thing. It says, "Who shall ever offend one of these little ones that believes in me is better than a millstone hung around his neck and were cast into the deepest part of the sea." Our children are the ones that are under attack. Next slide, please. Parents outraged over a list of LGBTQ books that were geared toward preschool's aged children. Parents of young children expressing their outrage listed about 32 books. Went online, I looked them up. Don't believe in the word coincidence. Happened to be at the library that day. Guy said, "Here, you want to, says, is there a way I can check and see what kind of books we got, within the library system in Michigan?" Gave me a link. I went to my office that day, started going through the list. In the process, I found this other one here with 30 more books. There was a book in there that's listed. It's called Everyday Babies by Susan Myers. And I watched the YouTube online, and there was nothing in there about anything. So I found out when I started to look it up that she was actually depicting, same-sex couples in the book. Well, you couldn't see it on YouTube as she read it. So that's why that one was on there. Would you advance to the next one, please? This is the one that really caught my attention when I was going through the list of libraries. Now, I know I forwarded this to your leadership. I think, Bill, I sent you a copy of the list of all these books. This was my favorite. And Tango Makes Three by Justin Richardson and Peter Parnell. Illustrated by Harry Cole. This book exists in 100 Michigan e-libraries, and they have this item. This thing is designated for children 4 to 8 years old. It's gotten awards from the ASPCA. It's gotten all these awards there, and in summary, this is what the book talks about. At New York Central Park Zoo, 2 male penguins fall in love and start a family by taking turns sitting on an abandoned egg until it hatches. This is what they're teaching kids. 4 to 8 years old. If that's not pathetic, I don't know what is. You know, this was the cream of the crop, but the other ones were, you know, 2 lesbian women and their son is going to be the ring bearer at their wedding. All the, you know, and I was just surprised. I found a couple of these books in Alcona, not too many at the Harrisville Library. And the Lincoln Library, a lot of them show up in Alpena. I see some in Petoskey, a lot in Traverse City. Again, these are a list of things that are out there. Can I go to the next slide, please? The other thing that's been a problem was District Health 4 had this sign up. I don't know if anybody's been to Alpena. Seen it?
Yeah.
Somebody got offended by it. Talked to matter of fact, when we get to the next slide, you're going to find out who got offended. I asked him, I said, well, did this sign offend you? And he said, yeah, it did. Because this was put up in the context of family planning. Now, what's missing from this being family planning? This isn't, you know, usually you would think of a husband or something being with the woman and considering, you know, how big to make their family. This is not. This has basically been looked at, you know, nothing more than providing means for gratuitous sex. Next slide, please. So somebody got angry. They wrote a letter. Come to the bottom. Anybody know who Adam Breggy is in Lincoln?
Yeah, he's one of the commissioners.
Yeah.
What now?
He's one of the commissioners with Gary.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
We had an interesting talk.
I saw a
about this.
letter in the paper, but I don't know who he is.
Well, he didn't have commissioner status for this. He made a statement, he complained. Next slide, please. He was in touch with a person, they sent me something, they sent this letter to Governor Snyder. And I really like it. Please find and include a picture of a disturbing billboard blatantly advertising 2 methods of contraception. One of the circles is an IUD and the other one is next planet. These billboards are positioned at 2 entrances in my community in full view of everyone. One on West M32 and the other on US 23. There were about 3 signs in total. I found out too that there was another one that was found on the way to Sheboygan County. And the person that kind of was taken aback by it was the 106 House Rep. I don't know if you know her, that'd be Sue Allard.
Yeah.
Yeah. In order to gain an understanding of Get It, Forget It was about, she talked to the woman at District Health number 4. I understand these grant-funded billboards are part of Department 4's idea to promote family planning, and these billboards are specifically chosen by Health Department 4 staff as a way of conveying their family planning message. I believe these billboards are appropriate to send a wrong message to our community. The message of get it and forget it implies that sexual activity is casual and can be taken flippantly. Aside from that, there is no mention that these methods do nothing to protect against STDs. There's no mention of the side effects or dangers of these items. There is no mention of how these devices work, and there's no mention of family values, parental guidance, etc. I believe these are exactly the wrong message to our community, especially to our youth. Woman sent this letter to Rick Snyder. I didn't have a chance to put together the reply. The reply was absolutely, well, basically, you know, this is the money we have, and this is what we see as the important thing that we need to do to promote family planning. Yeah. And the reason I bring this up is because I met with District Health 2 today. Those billboards are coming down. Not quite sure why they're coming down. I was going to bring this up in commissioner comments. It was broached before I got there. She says, yeah, we got a few complaints on this billboard. Can we go to the next slide, please? Back in September of this year. And it was an uncomfortable trip for me. It was a meeting September 18th at 4 p.m. in Lansing. Got a new vehicle, I'm not sure exactly how well it's working. My car burned up in a driveway fire. Tried to get somebody to go with me. Hopefully use somebody else's car, because, you know, I'm going in an unproven vehicle. It's going through a little bit of oil, you know, and I'm just kind of nervous going by myself, plus staying awake till, you know, when I tell you what time we got out of this meeting, you'll be amazed. But anyways, I got this email from a person I know on the west side. It says, the Civil Rights Commission is planning on redefining sex. Currently, Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination on race, color, national origin, age, sex, height, weight, family status, and marital status, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, we're going to change the definition of sex to include not only males and females, which we've grown up with for 5,000 years of existence on this planet, close to 6, but now we've come up with a few more varieties. This meeting lasted, next slide please, took place at the Convention Center, Ballroom 1, Civil Rights Commission. We were there from 4 o'clock that night till 8 p.m. until they finally made a decision. Anybody here know who Linda Lee Tarver is?
Yes. She is, wow, she's
You
an
don't,
amazing lady.
you don't pool any stuff with her.
No.
At the beginning of the commission, they're talking about looking into some malicious groups. You know, they're talking about the left, the right-wing extremists, the alt-right. Linda Lee Carver kept saying, and don't forget the alt-left. And she hit on it several times. We got to this subject. There were more people there in protest to it than there were in favor of it. Can you go to the next slide, please? Last night, after several hours of testimony and deliberation, the Michigan Civil Rights Commission declined to add sexual orientation and gender identity to the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. I cannot overstate the importance of the victory. I hesitate to use the word victory because they're going to come back at it again. We know that. They tried it with the Department of Education. This was their other avenue, was to go through the Civil Rights Commission. I think what really changed their mind, not only with the amount of people that showed up and came out there and the number of them that voiced their opinion, there was a young black guy sitting at the table, provided by Mr. Schutte. Said pretty much, he told the Civil Rights Commission, if you guys go down this road and redefine sex, you're opening yourself up to suit and there's no protection for you. The woman that co-chaired it, I don't remember her name, had said, gee, you know, we're here and we can't do anything about this and this isn't right. And I'm just sitting there shaking my head. All of a sudden this voice pops up and says, you know what, we are a nation of laws. We are elected to do what we are elected to do and not go beyond the things we are elected to do. And that's just a paraphrase. I'm taking it, you know, I didn't record it exactly. Again, that statement came out of Linda Lee Tarver. There is a reason to why I've kind of showed you all this. Can we go to the next one? This is the one that really disturbs me. Christian mom on Twitter account suspends after Teen Vogue article. Teen Vogue is a magazine dedicated to young girls. Article was Anal Sex 101, How to Do It the Right Way by Gigi Angles. Woman considers herself a sex expert, okay? New terminology I do not understand. Prostate owners, vagina owners, non-prostate owners. I mean, this is a woman that calls herself an expert. This is the stuff we have to deal with. This is where we're going. I mean, it's pathetic, and it's attacking our kids. I mean, Teen Vogue is one of those things, those magazines that you would imagine to help young, I mean, I don't know, Jane, you were a young girl. Isn't that something that you usually read, that you planned for like marriage and, you know?
Yeah, well, actually, Teen Vogue was one of those things that, it was for teens, you know?
Yeah.
It was about clean fashion, it wasn't this kind of, I mean, Cosmopolitan wasn't this
Back
kind of
then,
magazine,
yeah,
but
back then, I picked up a few Teen Vogues, and let me tell you, it
Cosmopolitan was
was,
clean when I was 20 years old. So.
yeah, this stuff
I
was
told
not
my wife
even.
about this, she was upset. When I showed her the article, she just about fell off the chair. Yeah, I mean, there's a difference when you hear about this stuff and when you see it up front. Can I go to the next slide? Because this is the one, and I saw this up here earlier. But Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, the full quote is, "Silence in the face of evil is evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act." The reason I'm bringing that up is, guys, we can't do this alone. You know, I cannot, I'm one commissioner that can do things. I can talk to my fellow commissioners to vote on things. But the problem is, and this is what I'm seeing a lot of, I have 4 townships that I have under me. I have half of one. I skipped that one, not because I don't like Yogi. It's just, Yogi's meeting is the same night as the one in Mitchell Township. I go to Mitchell Township every night, I go to Millen Township, I go to Curtis Township. You know how many people I see at these meetings besides the supervisors, everybody else? Of course, the new thing is now they got a county commissioner that shows up for these meetings. That's a new novelty. I was told by one of the township clerks, don't expect me to do any backflips for you showing up the first time. You know, your competition to that once in 10 years. You know how many people show up for these meetings?
2, maybe 0.
Nobody. Millen Township, a whole group of people showed up one night because their roads were a mess. You go there, you complain, you do your thing, you leave. Curtis, on the other hand, broke a record. We had over almost pretty close, between 75 to 100 people show up.
Wow.
They sold the school. One guy bought it for $10,100. The other guy bid $1. They weren't happy with the decision that the board had made. Heard the word recall being tossed about down there on occasion. Yeah, one of the people, you know, after a contract was signed, said, well, what the hell did we come to this for? And on the last meeting, I'd say maybe about 10 more concerned citizens showed up. And we held that one at the Curtisville Community Center. At the commissioners' meeting, the Alcona review told us they won't be showing up there much any longer because nothing happens. Alpena News still shows up for some reason, I don't know. When I bring up issues that I consider a concern when we have commissioners' comments, none of them get recorded. Nobody acts on anything. Guess what I'm saying is this. I'm willing to stand up and fight for this community. I'm willing to do the things that people would want done in this community. Problem is, I don't know how to reach anybody.
They're doing it the wrong way. The ones that are working are looks like that they're going the wrong way. And they're bringing our country down, or is it state down?
You know, nobody holds anybody accountable. You don't watch the votes, you know. We'll go to the last slide and we'll finish up here now and take questions. Romans 13. God tells us what the instance of government is for, basically So let everybody be subject to higher powers, for there's no other power but God. God's the one that puts us in there, if you read Daniel. You know, our object, basically, what this boils down to, is we protect people's rights. We're not here to fix your problems, you know, your healthcare system. Those are things that are not in the purview of government. As you can tell from the way the healthcare system got fixed, government does a good job of fixing things that are not supposed to be in. Our job is to make righteous laws and keep people in line from doing evil things. The things that are being done to our kids. You know, I'm being asked, well, what can we do about these library things? Well, number one, you know, go take a look for these books in the library that I've sent the list for. After that, write a letter and speak to them, tell them something. See, Adam wrote that letter to the district health. That sign is coming down. Now, we're not sure if that sign is coming down because they're not going to rent the space again or any of these other things. You know, I can't read the hearts of people, but they knew somebody was watching. They brought up the fact that there were complaints. You know, it takes people to come and say no more. You know, if you want things done right in a county, you don't want drugs intervening in your county, you say no more. You tell them no more. You know, we can talk about the hunt things, we can talk about all these things. But basically, when people stand up, the Civil Rights Commission thing, yeah, there was a threat from the Attorney General's office, but there were people there to stand up and say, not in Michigan. We're not doing this. They wanted to go around our legislator because our legislators were supposed to do this. As a matter of fact, that's why Lee Chatfield took out Frank Foster. From what I understand, the conversation was real simple. Frank, sign a paper, say you're not going to change LA. Wouldn't do it. Grassroots kicked Frank Foster out of there, put Lee Chatfield in place. Republican Party wasn't real happy about it. I mean, you know, you protect your own. You know, Frank is an incumbent. We can't do this. People spoke and got rid of him. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You know, you've got to engage. You know, I go through these things. I do these things. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. But you know what? I'm saying, God, here I am. Use me. And I go to these things and these opportunities present themselves. You know, people say, well, that's coincidence. No, there is no such thing as a coincidence. If you believe in a living God, there is no coincidence.
Very nice.
I've talked long enough. Anybody got a question?
On that question, but some input. I went to a Catholic college. I was Catholic, but not a lot of people go to Catholic colleges that aren't Catholic, but we required a religious course where in regular college you don't do that. But I took a class called The Religion of America. And one of the first things they came up with, and this was when the people came from across the sea to form a new nation, a new country. They came here with two different beliefs. They were what they call premillennialists and postmillennialists, okay? And what does that mean? One group says, well, what's going to happen is we're going to be here and Christ will come and we'll spend 1,000 years and then it'll be the end of the world. The other group says, no, there will be the end of the world and then Jesus Christ will come and reign for 1,000 years, okay? Well, the pre-millennialists who believed that Christ was going to come first before the end of the world wanted this country to be acceptable for Christ. And we are a Christian nation. We were a Christian nation from day one. And where these Obama and these other relics get up there and say, we are not a Christian nation, doesn't know the history of this nation and this country. And I was very offended with that. Another thing we talked about was about history. You know, nobody teaches religion and history. You can't do that in public school. But it's history, and what's wrong with history? You know, there's a group of Christians called Calvinists. I don't know if you ever heard of Calvinists, but they had a work ethic. They used to say, work hard, or your nose to the grindstone, and save your money. What did this do for this country? It had large bank accounts, and guys like Carnegie and Besser and a lot of these industrialists could borrow that money. It made this country what it was because of a religious ethic, but yet you won't hear this in a public school, and that just grinds me to death. That they don't teach this, and what you're showing here, they won't teach this stuff.
Oh, no way.
But anyway, just an input, I just wanted to mention that.
I would like to point out a few things. First of all, this is pretty much a regular group. I noticed something different. William, I met him at the Alcona Fair, and I am elated that you're here. I am absolutely elated that you're here. We need more people, especially younger people, coming in and getting involved. Secondly, Gary's presentation started out with the Bible and letter writing. You see something that you don't like, this is the simplest place to start. You write a letter. You write a letter, you send it to your township supervisor, you send it to your board of commissioners, you send it to the governor, you send it to your legislators, your House representative, your senators. Bare, simple, easiest thing that you can do, write a letter, send an email, make a phone call. Everybody needs to do this. This needs to happen more and more and more. Or, as you stated, they're going to come in. It's going to be nothing but LGBTQIA, whatever.
MOUSC.
Yeah. And
Constitution, United States of America, Article 7. Done in this convention by unanimous consent of the United States, present the 17th day of September in the year of our Lord, 1787.
Year of our Lord.
Now, there is a book you can get out of the library, because I checked it out. It's called Our Godless Constitution. Year of our Lord, 1700. Anybody got an idea what that goes reference back to? Yeah. Hey, and this is the worst part. And of the independence of the United States, the 12th. That's the way all executive orders are signed. I love it. I was looking up Obama stuff on gay, the June Gay Pride Month thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Signed 2009 and 233rd or whatever declaration. And it says in the year of our Lord, by the way, on this executive order. And you go back, and what's this declaration they're talking about? Oh, maybe that's the thing called Declaration of Independence. Now, if you do the math, you know, and what did I say it was, 1787 and 1776? Well, if you subtract the two, it's 11. But wait a minute, that's kind of like the checkbook, you know, when you write checks X amount to X amount, and you have to add 1. Well, that's how you get the extra year. That's how you get the 12th year. It was done in conjunction. Now, what was it about the Declaration of Independence? Something about our Creator. God of nature is God, and the laws of nature is God. Providence, the one that judges rightly. You know, the Creator part's the one that should get you immediately. But, you know, that's what we've come to. We've thrown out the standard. See, as I said, all the stuff I gave up there was not my opinion. That was a standard, and that word never changes. People attacked it. They're dead now. Matter of fact, some of the dead people that have attacked it, Bibles have been printed out of their house. You know, it was kind of like this cartoon I saw when I was younger. Didn't understand it then, I understand it now. Guy standing there drawing, God is dead, signed Nietzsche. Go to the next frame of the cartoon. Nietzsche's dead. God. Any questions? Anybody got anything they want to say? Please, go ahead.
What can we do to help you out?
Well,
Other than showing up at the meetings and, I know all this stuff, showing up at the meetings and.
well, the thing is, if you show up, you know what's going on.
Mhm.
This one here, I guess at the library issue, number one, check me out, make sure I'm right. Believe me, I went through the MEL list, the Michigan e-library list, and this is where I found all this stuff.
Mhm.
So take that list, go in the library, take a look at it. If you find it, go to the librarian and say, well, why is this in here? Now, I had a guy from church tell me about these two guys kissing on this book, already in there in the library, and he goes, I said, so what'd you do? Well, I haven't said anything. So well, why don't you go say something? See, this is it. First you gotta bring it up. Then you get a group of people together and say, you know what? We're having a problem with this. Now you have to understand, on the library committee, there does sit a commission.
Okay.
So, maybe let Kathleen know that she's the county commissioner that sits on the libraries. Let her know that, we're kind of uncomfortable with this stuff. I mean, I can find that stuff. I can find our godless constitution in there.
Mhm.
I can get stuff from Wall Builders, which is a Christian organization, but our library doesn't carry any of that stuff. I have to get it from out of the county line.
I have the phone number for the head librarian, and I am requesting, I couldn't get her in this month, but I am requesting her to come talk to us about how books are chosen, who makes those decisions, and how we can influence it to make sure that we as a community are represented.
I mean, that's all we can do. I mean, and then you're gonna get the arguments. I mean,
Well,
understand, this isn't gonna be, hey, and somebody's gonna go, wow, you're right, we're gonna do this. I mean, you know how many times I've had my hat handed to me? Stand up, say something. District Health brought up a resolution giving our district health person permission to go lobby Congress about keeping some of the bennies of Obamacare because we need the money to prop up a system that does so many things that it really doesn't need to do. You know what I'm saying? It's a waste of your tax dollars. And you get a little bit, and then you got to contribute a lot more to it to make it happen. Yeah, I had two people that considered what I had to say. When I brought up other subjects, it's pretty much odd man out. There are people that have stood up to, I'll say, a Babylonian king, and they were thrown into a fiery furnace, and they said, well, we'll survive if God wants us to. And then there have been prophets that have been cut. I'm willing to go either direction. And the thing is, you've got to stand. Make sure you're right, check your premises, and go. But, if nobody shows up to say anything, I mean, you remember when you did the
resolution.
muzzle-
Yep.
pretty much everybody was there to back you. You missed the week after.
I know.
And the thing was, I mean, that was brutal. I mean, all these people coming in saying, well, that's not America, we're a nation of immigrants. No, we're a nation of laws. We have a system. You're here to blend in, you're not here to uproot and change us around. We have a working system. But, you're gonna run into opposition, and then you're gonna get human beings that will sit on the board and start to waffle. Maybe that's, well, yeah, you sound right, and, somebody has to be there sometimes just to make sure that people are stiff. They've got a solid spine. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time.
Nope, you're right on.
Anybody got any other questions? In the blue book, she's got blue books back there.
Yep.
You are welcome to call me if you need help in finding a direction, finding something, I will do what I can to assist you. I have to be careful to what degree I get involved, but, you know, once this stuff comes before us, I have a possibility to talk on behalf of my constituents. And the constituents that put me into my office, I pray with one of them. So I can tell you right now, he and his church will back some of the things.
Well, that's good. Mhm.
I mean, you know, there's a book, there's a story in Kings about 4 lepers that stood outside the walls of the city. And human reasoning was all that was in it. Well, if we stay here, we're going to die. We go in there, and being leopards, they're going to kill us, so we're going to die. You know, the Syrians are out there. Let's go see if they're going to do something for us. And they get to their camp, and the camp's abandoned, and they got all this food and treasure. Got it? Step one direction.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks.